Well, now it's that awkward time where I got to apologize to our guests because I didn't upload the right intro. But that is not Stephen Morrison. It is actually Seth Keller from the FFFaceoff. Thank you for joining us, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I realized when I put my arm up, you could see that I'm still in my sleeveless shirt. Go Tropics. We had a 16-point lead in the first quarter and then squandered it in the second, third, fourth. Like it went all downhill from there. But I'm doing fantastic, minus that, because I'm having a beer and ready to talk football. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Do you still have your washing machine? Did you trade that? I don't know if you've seen the movie.
I still have my washing machine, and I intend on using it before the next game also. So.
Oh, no, I'm just curious, man. I mean, I know they traded the washing machine for the player in the movie, so I just wanted to see if you had any acquisitions going on.
I mean,
no judgment here. I mean, I'm not
at this point. Well, our season's probably mostly done at this point, but we could have used a washing machine on the court today. Would have really upped their game.
Well, just to throw out one more reference, I hope you didn't have to wrestle a bear in there.
I mean, I'm only 6'1", but I was guarding a dude that was like 6'5" the whole time, so it was pretty comparable. I think I've never wrestled a bear, but I would say that's probably he had me by about 50 pounds and like 4 inches. So I'm gonna go with that's probably what wrestling a bear is probably like. I don't know.
Just watch Along Came Polly. That's pretty much what wrestling a bear is like on a basketball court.
The terrible part is that's me though. Usually, like I got to the foul line at one point in a clutch shot and was like, does anyone have a dry spot that I can just like? I need to dry my hands off before I shoot this foul shot, because I was just dripping with sweat. Yeah, I am the Along Came Polly guy. No one knows who that guy is except for the reference of. The Along Came Polly guy, the big sweaty hairy dude.
Make it rain,
raindrop.
I will say though, I am a big fella, and when you play like football, I did like recreational football, and your hands get all sweaty. It's really hard to throw a football. It's similar problem. So,
Good thing you just had to say hike, right? You just had to. Snap the ball. Snap it.
I mean, I'm not even. I mean, if I was a mobile quarterback, we'd have real problems.
I don't know. Ben Roethlisberger got around.
I got the Cowboys stuff behind me, but then you'd be like the GIF of Dak that everybody likes to put out there, where he's like, "Ooh, well, there went the ball." Like,
that's phenomenal. I just like we're on this Along Came Polly. I always remember that scene when he's just like raindrop. He's just taking every freaking shot.
Philip Seymour, that scene where his face backboard. The scene where his face just goes straight into his chest hair.
Oh.
And see, I am not Ben Stiller in that scene. I want people to know that's not me. I am the other guy that is just like. Like that's.
I just love what he says. You want to keep your shirt on when he takes it off.
And for all of our listeners out there, I don't know.
Go watch Along Came Polly, and then go. Oh,
you can hate me for it later, but Along Came Polly is one of my favorite oldies.
Yeah.
Just know that Seth is the bear out there with his shirt off.
Hey, it happens. It is what it is.
Hey, guys. Well, it's 10:47. Cheers to everybody who's awake right now and listening to us. We are going live on YouTube and Twitter right now.
We have no big checks on this podcast either.
Yeah. Nobody wants to stay up till 10:40 to listen to us rant.
or for us to be shirtless and show off the chest hair. I mean, that's a different type of show. That's the OnlyFans account, right, Justin?
Exactly.
Yeah, check me out on my OnlyFans. It's still a work in progress, but it'll be up someday when I'm dead.
That'll be the day. So guys, we're gonna talk about a few things fantasy football related, because believe it or not, that's what the podcast is all about, fantasy football. Not along came Polly or any other funny early 2000 comedy references. We can go
Which
through
also
it.
makes me feel bad that you called it an oldie, but that's all right. We're gonna let that one
Hey man,
bring
I'm 30.
attention to
It's
it right
still an
now,
oldie to me.
and then let it slide.
Hey, I'm 32 now, and I consider myself ancient compared to people nowadays.
I mean, I'll turn 39 this year, so I got you by
You're good.
I'm almost a decade at this point.
You
so
saw South Park bigger, longer, and uncut probably before I did.
I definitely did, because I'm a huge South Park fan. So
He saw it when he was in high school, and he could actually make something out of the references.
I know this is a football podcast, but real story. My dad took me to that when I was like 8 and left the theater in like 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What did he think it was?
I was like, Dad, I convinced my dad that it was a cartoon to take me. And then when they started singing Kyle's mom, he's like, "We're getting the hell out of here."
Well, Kyle's mom is a big. Oh, that is awesome. I would have loved it if he was like, "No, we're staying. We have committed to this." Depending on when in the 2000s it was like, this is $26 just to get in here, plus an extra 10 for the popcorn and medium sized drink you wanted. We're staying.
Right. The best part would have been if he would start singing along to it. Yeah. Kyle's mom's a king Kamehameha.
Wait. If they didn't get to the uncle part, did he really watch the movie?
Oh, my brother saw it, and my brother told me everything. Because my brother's like 10 years older than me. He's a little bit older than you, and it's he hooked me up when it came out on DVD, but it's still funny.
Yeah, I mean, I have two younger brothers that are almost 10 and 12 years younger than me, and I had them watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Another good one.
When they were like 8. And I started calling my brother Lunchbox, even though he wasn't even really that big. But they're like, "You bullied him for years." I was like, "No, it's a reference to the movie. Lunchbox was Silent Bob. He was a pivotal character."
You just don't understand the bonds that I'm making.
and the best part is now, like, he'll randomly be like, "The sign on the back of the truck, you stupid, it said animals." Like, whatever the thing was, the one line, like the only lines that Silent Bob has, and it's like yes, we forged those memories together in probably the worst way possible, but that's what family's about. And didn't you say something about this being a football podcast or something?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of making memories, we're going to transition into making money, and we're going to talk about two guys that just made, or actually three guys that made a lot of money. DK Metcalf, Kyler Murray, and Julio Jones coming out of nowhere and making $8 million. Guys, so, I want to start off with this and saying, Kyler Murray is now a $230 million man, but he's got some homework every single night. Seth, a little bit about homework.
Not anymore. His homework has been rescinded as of 2 hours ago.
Really?
Really?
According to Pro Football Talk, sources say today they have redid his deal and have removed the contract clause.
So all it took was making fun of it, and now it's done.
It's done. Article just posted.
It's not even funny. You couldn't even fucking hold on to that.
Do you realize the terrible precedent this is setting for high school and middle school students?
Yes, I do.
Like, let's just take a moment and think of every high school student that's like, "Well, you said I had to do homework. we're going to get on the Twitter machine and make fun of this for the next 24 to 48 hours. And you're going to be the one wrong at the end of this, Mrs. Smith. Like,
to be fair, that's the way teaching's been since I was a kid. My teacher, we've already wasted 10 minutes on things that I find funny. So we can talk after the podcast. I got some good stories.
Yeah, at this point, we're just filling it in. Don't worry, we can run a little bit late. Give us a story.
My biology teacher used to joke because people would never do the homework. He's like, you guys are so spoiled. Like back in my day, my parents used to just like crack the whip if we didn't do our homework. You guys, your parents will call me like, I'm pissed. You told my kid he couldn't smoke pot in your class. Why couldn't my kid smoke pot in your class? And it's just like they make the teachers bend over backwards for you guys all the time. And he just like went on a huge rant all the time about how entitled all of the kids in my class were and stuff like that. I don't know. It's not as funny as I explained it here, but you had to be there.
Entitled is definitely a word that gets passed through generations. Yeah. I think everybody is just like, what, you weren't a co-worker when you were 5? You're entitled.
Yeah. You didn't walk upward both ways to school.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
In the snow.
In the snow.
In the snow.
Yeah. There's actually a great quote. I think it's Plato or Aristotle, but it's absolutely hilarious. And it's like, the children of our nation have no moral compass. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to put in for the betterment of society. Da da da. And it's like it. And what's great is in the professional developments that I've been in with that, they'll put the quote up there and not say like who's saying it, and it'll be like, yeah. So how many people agree with this? And everybody's like, yes, the kids suck nowadays. And it's like, great. You're the same as Plato from like 20 something like BC, whatever. Like, and people are like, oh, wait, so we've hated old people have hated the young for like thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, that's what's happening. But that entitlement, it's different. It's a different entitlement, but it's.
Your parents didn't have computers growing up.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I had to write a paper on an electric typewriter. Do you know how weird an electric typewriter is? It's not a computer. It's not a typewriter. It's just weird. Like, yeah, that was life for me. So, suck it, all of you kids out there complaining about Mr. Johnson had me write 500 words. Yeah, you had a way to count that on a click of a button. I was on my electric typewriter going, crap, can I put a "the" in somewhere? How many different ways can I write this sentence to stick 4 more words into it?
That's phenomenal. Well, I think we're gonna get back to the fantasy football aspect on this. So for Kyler Murray, obviously now with the entitlement kicking in, and now he is free of his homework. Are we wavering any bit with this new contract? I mean, obviously we're probably not, but how are you guys drafting him right now? Are you okay? Even going as far as, top 4 with him.
Not top 4, but nothing's really changed for me. I don't really like contracts. I mean, unless sorry, I take that back. I care more about like guarantees and early outs and stuff like that, but he's locked in here for a while. He's got the 2 years left on his original deal plus the 5-year extension. He's probably top 6 for me. Probably is number 6 for me.
Does this shut down Justin's baseball talk?
No.
Seth, every time we would talk about Kyler Murray this offseason, Justin would swear he's just going to go play baseball again.
He should.
I mean, if that happened, it would make my life easier because then I just wouldn't watch him anymore. Because I can't follow baseball. I live minutes from Citi Field where the Mets play, and it's great to go there, have a few beers, but I mean, I can't follow it. So
Yeah,
You can have the same experience at a bar right outside City Field, and the beer's probably cheaper.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd rather watch a chess tournament than watch baseball on TV.
That's actually not a bad option. Just saying. Get a. You want to throw up a chess podcast next? We'll throw that in there.
We can go another 10 minutes. I mean,
I'm gonna call checkmate on this thing right now.
I was gonna say I just did like a whole analogy to chess and draft strategies on the last podcast I did with the Fantasy Facts where I'm normally at. So I mean, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, I'm ready. Like let's go. Let's go spelunking in these rabbit holes. But I assume you don't want to do that. So
Kyler Murray is more of he's probably my rook more so than my king or queen in startup drafts.
Yeah. My thing with Kyler Murray is,
or at least give him the bishop.
He's not my pawn. I mean, my pawn's
Definitely.
Alexander Madison.
I think we're losing people by there's
nobody here. It's just us. If we're losing people, you're clicking off.
But I mean, my thing with Kyler Murray is this, right? The contract does nothing for me except for going, okay, it's out of the realm of, is there more mental load on the dude than just playing football, right? That's the way I see almost all contracts, right? There is as much as we want to believe, we can predict how people are going to perform. And as much as we want to go, oh, I crunched this number, I crunched that number, and boom, that guy's going to be great because it's a contract year. And when they in a contract year and they get this guarantee and they do. It's they're and this is coming from somebody that does data work all day long. There is just a level of uncertainty that we don't know, and it's human nature, right? And for me, with Kyler Murray and almost everybody with these contract situations, it's good. It hopefully takes a variable out of the equation. It's one less thing that we're going, well, is he going to pull up, or with a quarterback, is he going to slide sooner trying to avoid an injury versus trying to juke a dude and keep going, which he would have done the past couple of years? I don't know, right? For me, it's good. He got it done. Awesome. Does it change much for me? Not really.
I think the thing that changed the most for me is that we moved on from Christian Kirk and we see an upgrade to Marquise Brown. You bring back Zach Ertz. Yeah. You got DeAndre Hopkins. I actually think that this will be his best season. I think he's actually a lock to probably finish higher than my 6th ranking this year. More so because I think we're going to see a regression of Josh Allen a little bit, probably to the 6th or 7th tier, just because of the new coaching staff. I think that this could be the year that Kyler Murray does finish as MVP. He had that look the first 7 or 8 weeks of the season, had the injury, lost Hopkins. I think we've seen Hollywood Brown outperform expectations in Baltimore, and I think that this offense can take the next step. And if it doesn't, then Kyler Murray could have Sean Payton next year.
Yeah.
If you want to roll the dice on that, I mean,
he'll be in LA with the Chargers. But I actually like what you said there, Seth. I think that you're absolutely right when you're saying it takes away a variable, and it takes away that variable that we're always lingering on with. Is he going to be in Arizona? Is he going to, like Justin said before, I always joke about it, but is he going to go play baseball? Now he's dedicated to it. Now I can fully invest in him in a dynasty league and be fine with that. So I like that in that aspect. And Justin, like you said, he has more weapons around him and more of an upgraded weapon in that slot now with Marquise Brown. We already talked about Cliff Kingsbury saying that he's going to be everywhere. He's going to be taking the top off. He's going to be inside, outside. He's going to be playing every receiver role until DeAndre Hopkins gets back. So, when you look at that, you're like, okay, this guy's going to be targeted nonstop. Rondale Moore might get some more, and he's getting some, a little bit of hype right now. But obviously still very manageable. Value is still there with that guy.
Do not fall for Rondale Moore trap.
I mean,
That dude's
are you gonna bark up the AJ Brown or AJ Green tree right there? Are you gonna
I don't want either one of those. I mean, you're talking
AJ Green for over Rondale Moore.
People are like, I saw Rondale Moore go earlier than expected in a draft earlier, and I'm just like, guys, what's the best case scenario for Rondale Moore? Like,
so how early are we talking? I just want to ask.
It was like the 7th round.
What?
It was something stupid. It was people. I think it's
non-super flex.
This was in like a best ball DraftKings thing.
Single QB, so it's probably single QB. Yeah, it's probably single QB.
If it's DraftKings, it's probably single. But
yeah,
it doesn't seem that, like I don't think I would do it, but I'd have to look at some more ADP stuff.
I just don't. You're talking. You get maybe 6 games of elite. Like we're talking. In that round, I'd rather have DeAndre Hopkins and/or Michael Thomas because there's a track record there, and I just think you have Zach Ertz, you've got Hollywood Brown. Eventually, Hopkins is coming back. So, like to me, the best case scenario is you beat out DeAndre Hopkins and you're the 3rd target on the team. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is that bad. I don't think he's regressed. I think he got injured last year, and he's probably going to come back this year to prove to people that he's still DeAndre Hopkins, and that test was just a mistake on his part.
Yeah, and here's my thing. I'm loading up my other computer screens over here and turning one off so it's not just in the background. But here's one thing that I want to throw out there. This is through fantasy data, but if you look at the Arizona Cardinals 2021 target distribution, Chase Edmonds had 8%, DeAndre Hopkins had 10.6%, Rondale Moore had 10.8%, AJ Green had 15.3%, Christian Kirk had 17.1%, just all the extra guys in there had 18.8%. Who's the guy that's missing? Were you guys paying attention? Who's the guy that's
like
missing?
James Conner?
Antoine Wesley?
No, Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. There you go.
Bingo bango. Yeah. At 18.6. He had the second most. All of the collection of guys that aren't Edmonds, Hopkins, Moore, Green, Kirk, and Ertz, everybody else had 18.8% of target share in Arizona. Ertz, who only came there
after the trade deadline. Right
before it. He played 11 games in Arizona, had 18.6.
I'd also like to point out, though, Hopkins missed a lot of games, too. So, to me, those are the targets you should be wanting in this offense, plus Hollywood. It's a crapshoot, and I would say Hopkins is just so cheap. He's my preferred target, but the smart money is probably on Ertz, especially those first 6 games.
Yeah, and the fact that he's going is last I checked was like tight end 11, tight end.
Yeah, he's cheap.
He's at the back end of the tight ends there. So if you're not gonna pay up and draft one of the the Kelseys, the Andrews, the Pitts, things like that, which depending on how the draft falls to you, especially if you're doing a snake draft, like if you're not going to go with one of those guys, I'm more than happy waiting to Ertz. And if I miss on Ertz, honestly, I am a punt tight end and just keep kicking that can down the road type of guy. But we've probably deviated far enough away from Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray still good, contract good.
Yeah. No worries. We're going to talk about some more relevant stuff. We can talk about DK Metcalf, another show. Julio Jones signs. So where Julio Jones is right now, he's ranked about 79th on Fantasy Pros for this upcoming season. I'm going to list off a couple names for you guys. You guys tell me how many of those names you would have over Julio Jones. So we got 69, we got Crowder. 72, we got Josh Palmer. 73, Curtis Samuel. Donovan Peoples-Jones comes in at 74. Osborne, KJ, at 75. AJ Green, that we just were talking about, 78. Laviska Shenault 80, and Paris Campbell 81. So that is 8 guys. How many of those guys would you have over Julio Jones right now? Like, how valuable is it for you to get Julio Jones at the back end of drafts? 3? Name them.
No. He wasn't doing 3.
Oh,
he was
0.
Doing
you were doing 0.
0.
Okay,
And
big old 0.
Big old 0. You're talking about a guy who did not perform to expectations last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver 76 in terms of points per game. Played on an offense that was 26th in pass attempts per game out of 32 teams. Prior to that, has never been outside of the top 12 in terms of points per game at the position. So was it an anomaly, or is this just a bargain?
Yeah.
I am a cheap accountant. I tend to go bargain.
My thing with Julio is this. Am I in a managed roster league where I have to start him over certain players in my starting lineup? And I'm asking you asked out of those 8 guys, who am I doing? I want to know, am I in a managed league? Because that makes.
So what you're pretty much saying is you'd rather just have him in a best ball league when you don't have to figure out whether he is fucking, gonna go off or not. You just say, oh, he went off. Cool. He's in my lineup automatically.
Right.
And I understand that. I completely understand that. That's kind of where I'm at this point. Like, I don't want to pick when he's going to go off, because with this Tampa Bay offense, it's going to be like hit or miss on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin anyway. So why am I going to throw in the odd factor of Russell Gage or, Julio Jones becoming that guy? I'll just pick them in best ball. So with this list, I actually like a few of these guys. One, I like Curtis Samuel. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. And with the Vikings, I like KJ Osborne. Like, I don't know if this is me just being the mark and like really like geeking out about the idea that this team is going to be more pass heavy and have a lot more to give to the team. But KJ Osborne had some good games last year. Now, like you said, Seth, am I playing any of these guys am I really like drafting any of these guys and thinking, oh my God, it's going to be a game changer, having to struggle between subbing them in and out on any given Sunday? No.
You're not a true KJ Osborne fan if you're not rolling him out week 1.
You know what? I'm a true Irv Smith fan. I'll roll him out after I kick the can all the way down
the road. Here's what I'll throw out, right? I look at thresholds when I look at player stats, right? Because to me, saying like, oh, this guy finished as a RB1 this many weeks, I go, all right, well, who else was playing that week? How many other guys were on buys? Like, let me know, like, what's the threshold for certain things? And so what I do is I look at like, all right, how many 10-point games did they put up in a season? Because how many 10-point games they put up is like, all right, they're flexible. How many 20-point games? If they're putting up a 20-point game, that's like you're in, RB2, RB1, like you're doing good that week. And then I look at like how many 30+ games do you do? And to me, that's more valuable than looking at, say, like average points per game, because a 50-point game, you won that week anyways. Like, it didn't, that 50-point game doesn't translate into anything more for you on that season, but it does raise their average significantly, especially when we're only looking, mathematically, we're only looking at 16, 17 games over the past, however many years we're looking at. Here's the deal with Julio Jones, right? In 2021, he played 10 games. Hamstring injury took him out of all the other ones. And it wasn't just like batches of games. It was, oh, I tweaked my hamstring, I'm out of game. I'm back in a game. No, I tweaked my hamstring again. I'm out 2 games. No, I'm back in for a string of games. No, I tweaked my hamstring again, and now I'm out again. It was not anything where it was like an injury where you're it's a freak injury and it happens, and then you're back in and everything's fine. It was a recurring injury, and it's been a recurring injury for the past 2 years. And so here's the thing. Over the past 2 years, he's played 19 games. Out of those 19 games, he's had 8 of them over 10 points. That's okay. It's not great. Over 20 games, he didn't have any game over 20 last year when he played 10 games. His games over 20 all came 2 years ago in 2020. And his last 30-point game came in 2020 in week 6. And that's PPR scoring from fantasy data. Does he have the ability? Yeah, I think so. If he's healthy, he's in his best situation he's probably ever been in with Tom Brady, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin when he comes back, Lenny Fournette running the ball. That's more than Atlanta has put around him since Atlanta's Super Bowl loss to the Patriots.
Now, to be fair, though, the one thing I do want to point out is the last 2 years, Atlanta in 2020 was 19th in terms of pass attempts per game. And then, like I said, last season, Tennessee was 26th. So I agree with most of what you're saying, but there is, to me, an opportunity there when you go to a team like Tampa, who finished the league last year first in pass attempts per game, which is intriguing because that's more opportunities, especially he has, in 2020, those big games also came, I believe, with Calvin Ridley next to him. So you got good targets around him. We're not looking for Calvin Ridley to be the Calvin Ridley of old. He gets 5, if you get 5 catches a game, we'll say, I think you get to 10, 5 catches for 50 yards, you're at 10 points there.
So let's play a game. How many, don't look, I'm looking at your eyes. How many games did Julio Jones have over 5 catches last year? He played in 10 games. How many did he have over 5 catches?
Over 5? I'm going to guess none.
He had 2. I saw Justin, other Justin, not Justin up in that corner, Justin, but Justin in that corner, Justin. I saw the hand signal. He had 6 in week 2, and he had I said over 5, so technically you're wrong because he had 5 in week 18, which no one cares about because no one should be playing fantasy football in week 18. Other than that, he went 3, 6,
that's like the
3,
DFS,
3, 2, 4, 4, 0, 1, 5.
That's the DFS Super Bowl is week 18.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, well, that's because everybody's playing DFS that week because all their other leagues are just done.
Yeah.
They're craving some football, some chaos.
Yeah, and that's when you're like, Dontrell Hilliard. Yup, book it.
That's when Justin puts in Jordan Love. Let's go, Jordan Love.
Jordan Love fan club right here. We got one member who wants to join us.
Well, we'll have an army of
one member too much.
Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers will be here someday, and you're gonna regret this, both of you.
Here's one more. Receiving touchdowns for Julio last year. 1. It came in week 18.
He's number 1.
He is number 1.
Yeah, number 1.
I'm telling you, though, I still think he's a value.
I think a lot of fantasy owners would say, he's number 1 for sure.
Here's the thing. if it's late, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you in the sense of if he's a value, I'm all in for it. I've heard people on Twitter, though, be like, oh, he's a top 30 wide receiver for me. At that point,
yeah, they ruin it.
I'm out.
Man,
they ruin it.
Twitter is like a cesspool of like some of the... Those are the people I like getting in leagues with.
Yeah. Well, that's
they're the same people that were taking Trey Lance like number 10 in startups.
Yeah.
Or Trevor Lawrence at like top 10 last season.
Yeah. And let them do that. But that's my thing is that stuff gains momentum, and you're going to see an ADP change in Julio. And my thought is if I can get him, let me get Julio outside the top 60. Right now, before the news, he was outside the top 90 in wide receivers. If I can get Julio outside the top 60 wide receivers, I'm right there with you.
Now, I will say, I like Julio. I don't know how to say this. I still think the better value right now is to take a Will Fuller.
No, the better value is to take a Jamison Crowder.
I know
You
that you
go
don't
with the
so you
guy
don't
who's
go
actually
for-
signed on a roster.
You know, the
Will
second
Fuller.
Will Fuller signs in Green Bay.
Does Green Bay doesn't have any money left to sign anybody, do they?
Exactly.
Like,
Will Fuller has no options. He's going to Green Bay.
Ew.
You are killing the Alan Lazard fan club right now. You are literally tearing them apart.
Alan Lazard fan
Where-
club. And by the
where's-
way, like the best value, like for those that don't play fantasy, like I don't know, maybe it's my contrarian thinking. People are now like fading Christian Watson because he's hurt. Like it's dynasty. So if people are like worried about Christian Watson being on the pup list, I know we're not really talking about him, but that kind of stuff is just like take advantage of that in your leagues. It's ridiculous to me.
Well, I think that actually ties into the show that Justin sent me beforehand was like, yeah, we're going to talk about training camp and stuff, news and stuff that's going on, and I think that ties into it where it's like take all of the stuff that's happening right now with a grain of salt. Like
when the news is here, I tend to go over here. Yeah. Like the news is here, so I'm going to go over here.
Yeah, and my thing, just like Christian Watson, he needs to make one of the most significant jumps in sports, going from they don't call it D3 anymore, but that's essentially what it is. The FB FBS. There we go. Not the FBC. Sorry. I'm still old school where it's like, no, it's D1. Like that's how I picked my college. It was like, no, I want a D1 football team. Buffalo. There we go. Going to Buffalo. Anyways, like he's making such a significant jump that I would say it's one of the most significant jumps that you're going to get in sports, to go from a FBS school to a NFL team. You went from, you weren't even on the top 120 teams of 90 something players.
We're looking at you, Trey Lance.
Yeah, well, and that's not to say that there's not outliers.
I'm
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, there are outliers. That's fine. I don't like to bet on outliers. To me, that's like 19. Hit me. No, I don't hit on 19. Yes, I could get an ace.
Or
I could get a 2.
2, yeah, you're really looking for the 2.
You could get 2 aces, motherfucker.
I could. But I'm not taking that hit. I'm gonna stand. And that's why I'm not gonna bet on these guys being great though.
But he's worth like a 2 though. Like, you probably didn't.
Wait, do you mean a 2? Do you mean a 2 is in like blackjack terms 2, or do you mean like are we saying 2 isn't like a second?
Like a second round pick or a 2 in blackjack? There, I mean, he's pretty valuable. 2s are, blackjack players, 2s are valuable, and 2s are dangerous if the dealer has one. By the way. Anyways, yeah. So I just feel like he's worth a second round pick. I still have Dotson over him, but if people are panicking, I don't know. I mean, there needs to be a number 1 in Green Bay, and I'm not buying the Lazard hype.
I don't think I've done 6 dynasty drafts already, maybe more. I have not seen Christian Watson escape the first round.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He's a back end first rounder.
I've had the opposite. I've had people reach
in a 12-team league. He's going somewhere between
110 and
7, 8 maybe is like the highest I've seen, and like the 112. I have not seen him in the second round yet. And maybe it's just different leagues, but
every league is
funny because you're more likely to see Dotson escape to the second round, who's got first round capital.
Always
seen
Dotson. We got Dotson here. See, nobody cares.
See, what's funny is if I could, the 3 guys I like.
Oh, Jurassic Park references, love it.
I mean, I love Dotson. I love Pickens, and I like Watson. I mean, those are the 3 guys I think that are easy targets to trade down to. But yeah, I've had opposite experience. I've seen Dotson go around 112, 111, and then usually it's like Watson go like to the 201. But
You're like in an alternate dimension league or something like that. Like,
are you guys on
you're like
Sleeper
plugged
or
into the multiverse or some shit.
You're like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. We're on a whole new Spider-Man now.
I'm an OG. What can I say? I actually have spider webs inside of me. I don't need the fucking cartilage like you guys.
Oh, either way, we all got bit. But let's talk about another guy some of us have gotten bit by in the past. Baker fucking Mayfield and Sam Darnold splitting reps. Is anybody in that freaking Carolina rotation worth a damn?
Matt Corral, baby. I'm just joking.
Well, it is a dynasty show, so I'll accept that answer.
No, I want nothing. I mean, I saw a post on Reddit about how today alone in practice, how DJ Moore, because Baker got the first string reps, had almost 4 touchdowns, tying his career high in a season in one practice. So
bank it in. Bank it in.
His draft capital is going to jump like a round now, probably.
We do have a bet going here, Seth. I do think that DJ Moore is going to finish above the top 24, and Justin thinks that he's going to finish outside of the top 24.
I'd lean the top 24 because I feel like he's going to hit right around the 20 mark. So I'd lean top 24 more than back end, but to the Baker,
always take the field. Always take the field.
You're right. There are way more numbers greater than 24, and actually mathematically not true. But anyways, based on the limits that are provided on the rankings of players, there's way more numbers past 24 than before 24. My big thing though is, if Baker and Darnold are splitting first team reps already, it to me goes, this is Baker's job to lose, because if it were like the guy coming in and the guy why can't I think of the term? Incumbent. There we go. And the incumbent gets the first team reps, especially in the first couple days of training camp. No, they're splitting them already. They came out right out the gate, and we're like, no, you get a rep, you get a rep, you get a rep, you get a rep. Like, to me, this is Baker's opportunity, not his job to lose, but it's his opportunity to lose. And so if you get outplayed by Sam Darnold,
you might be bad at football.
Never forget, though, when Freddie Kitchens was the head coach and Baker Mayfield was the next big thing in dynasty football.
Yeah.
Never forget that Ben McAdoo thought that Sam Darnold was better than Baker Mayfield.
I mean, weird stuff happens in the NFL draft. I don't know. I don't know what else to say to that. Like, just weird stuff happens. All the way that everybody looks at the draft just changes when the draft actually happens. I feel like that's the thing. Weird stuff happens.
That's fair enough. That's really fair enough. I mean, I think you hit it right on the head.
Saquon Barkley goes before Josh Allen.
Imagine the Giants with Saquon Barkley. Never mind, they had Jason Garrett as a coach.
Hey, he's still clapping.
I hear his claps in my nightmares. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see that Cowboys scarf up there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you get the right angle, there's another Cowboys banner right there too. But
yeah. It's in the darkness where it belongs.
I mean, you guys probably should have watched the playoff game together. I was the only one that was for the 49ers in the playoff game. I got called names by my friends.
I got called names.
I didn't say they were bad names. I just said they called me names.
I almost completely burned down the bar I was at when Jimmy Garoppolo threw that interception. I was like, "You gotta be
Which
fucking
one?
kidding me!"
Which one? Yeah. I mean, at least he got it to somebody, right? Come on.
Yeah,
Somebody caught
totally.
it.
It just happened to be the wrong team, right? Maybe it was the right team for the future, right? Maybe he was just hedging his bets.
There you go.
All right. So next topic on this list of things, Trey Lance named as a starter. Does that validate any sort of QB1 for you guys?
He's the 101 in Dynasty drafts, last I checked.
That's fair enough. I mean, he is the next Josh Allen, so why not get ahead of the curve, right?
I mean, if you're thinking of taking Josh Allen over Trey Lance, you're probably right, but don't tell your friends.
You crazy son of a bitch.
I mean, I might need to just go take a leak during this section of the podcast and just let you guys talk about this, and I'll put like a sign up that's like Trey Lance, be wary, and then let you guys talk about all of it. And
I mean, to be honest, Trey Lance is good, but his cost is just too high for me. I'd rather, I disagree with Herrera quite a bit on, Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, but still taking both of them over Trey Lance strictly because I just don't trust the passing work, and I know that Cousins and Carr have a longevity still. They're going to be in the league a while and they get the job done through the air. I am a safer dynasty player. I do take risks, but I don't try and sharpshoot quarterback when I have a known quantity in the backfield. I'd rather get the guy, I don't mind drafting a quarterback in rookie drafts. Draft him where you want to. But when you have a guy going in, top of the second round in startup drafts who has yet to start an NFL game, that is sharpshooting a position that has lots of talent available.
He started 2.
Sorry, 2 games.
Patrick Mahomes only started 1 before he got drafted that high.
How was he really going that high? People were, I didn't really get in. I wasn't.
I feel like people were that high on him.
I got Mahomes. All right, so here's maybe one of the worst trades that I've made. I got Mahomes in a 1 quarterback, 10-team league, home league, but guys that are, for the most, 9 guys that are really sharp, 8 guys that are really sharp. And I got Mahomes in 2-7, something like that. And I traded him away after that 1 game because I got Sony Michel back. This was when Sony Michel got traded after his decent year in New England. He got traded to, what was it, Tennessee? I think it was the same. I think it was Tennessee.
The Rams?
No, it was
Sony Michel. No, Sony Michel was never on another team other than the Rams.
Who am I thinking about then?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who you're thinking of.
Doesn't matter. It was a crap running back from New England that as soon as they
I know who you're fucking talking about.
They lost. And 2 seconds.
God damn it.
I could have had essentially the dynasty QB1, QB2. But no, instead I traded it for a bad running back in 2 seconds.
I remember who you're talking about now. It's Dion Lewis.
Dion Lewis.
What the 2s turn into? Don't sell yourself short.
I feel like I have pretty good, anecdotally, I have really good luck with seconds.
So do I, yeah.
But it probably still wasn't enough to make that deal worth what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you essentially got Dion Lewis for Patrick Mahomes.
I've had bad deals.
Now I'm never going to you for fantasy advice again.
Stuff happens.
I'll still give I'll still give you everyone makes bad trades. I once traded away James Conner his final year in Pittsburgh. I had the 10, it was midseason. I was at the 109. I was thick in the playoff race. I traded away James Conner in my first for LaShawn McCoy in his first. And at the end of the season, it ended up being I gave up James Conner in the 104. Or no, it was James Conner in the 102 for LaShawn McCoy in the 103.
Yeah,
that's rough.
But I've had a lot of good trades. I mean, like I drafted Gibson at the bottom of the second, his rookie year. Traded him last offseason for 2 1s and 2 2s. I generally do. I've had more wins than I do track my trades. I've had a lot more wins than losses, but you still got to let people know that you do make mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though, is are you making mistakes and learning from the mistakes, or are you making mistakes and making the same mistakes again and again and again?
Yeah.
That's the big question.
100%.
And making a mistake is not bad. Making the same mistake repeatedly, that's bad.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's not make the mistake of going over time on this one.
Nice transition.
A couple of things I want to talk about training camp wise. We have a couple of holdouts, or actually hold-ins, I guess. Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, both on the sidelines. Does this affect any of the value for you guys?
Not really big on Deontay, courtesy Jason Moore. He convinced me. Fantasy footballers. I like Deontay. I just don't know how much I love him this season.
I don't know if I take Jason Moore's stuff.
Last I checked, Jason Moore, I like Jason Moore.
I love Jason Moore, but some of his takes
he's had his track record with Detroit running backs is magnificent.
Flawless. Some may even call him a panderer.
With Detroit running backs. Flawless. I don't mind Deontay at cost right now because I still think he's going to be the guy for Pittsburgh. And so, like, the hold-in thing, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Would I like for it to be wrapped up? Yeah, because it's one less variable in the equation. Are we going to get the Bell situation where he sits out for an entire year? Who knows, right? Like, if you're drafting now, Deontay he's falling to what, the mid-teens, 20s of
so as of right now, he's 17 in redraft, and Dynasty is 14.
Yeah, if he's falling all the way down there after putting up a top, I think it was top 5 last year in PPR points, or top 6, something like that. If I can get that, and especially if I can get that as my second wide receiver, I don't want to push my bank in on Deontay being my one and only wide receiver. But depending on how my draft is going, if Deontay is my number 2, I'm all for that because he has top 10 potential just on opportunity, because they got rid of Juju and they replaced him with
Pickens.
No one.
Yeah,
Pickens, a rookie. They replaced him with a rookie, which,
right?
Traditionally, they're not going to hit.
We've seen rookies be great, but traditionally, traditionally, historically,
I love Pickens, but not this season.
Unless you're in Pittsburgh, where all receivers seem to hit. Whether it's the fucking wall, the crazy house, or something else, they all seem to hit.
I will say Pickens is a value, but I would not rely on him this year.
Yeah. I mean, they've already come out and said that they're not going to have a big role for him. So, I mean, I'm not really. I don't think that that's one of the rosters I really do trust when they come out and they say something. Like, I trust that they're not going to be scheming up a lot for him this year. Unless, like you said, Deontay Johnson keeps this hold in for a good duration of the year and they need to go to him. But, I mean, outside of that, I think that he still has a lot of value, like you said, especially in Dynasty. I mean, if he even signs somewhere else, like Chicago Bears or something like that next year, like all the way, big value.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so what about Deebo? are you guys buying into the Debo?
Debo is one of those statistical outliers that I struggle with because his production is based on so many factors. He's not just a guy that catches the ball, gets yak. He also runs the ball, has rushing touchdowns. Like there's so many different facets to how he's, to how he scores points. Which to me, again, this is one of the things where it's like he's such a statistical outlier where I'm like, okay, he's a statistical outlier. It's like Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is an undrafted free agent running back, is a statistical outlier. And at this point, it's like, yeah, no, I just accept the fact that Austin Eckler, he is the outlier. Like he's going to be good, not because of specific metrics and stuff like that, but he's going to be good because he's an outlier. He's just an outlier from the normal model. And the normal model says, undrafted free agent running backs, they hit it like 2% for a single season. Right. He's just that. And for me, Debo is in a similar category where it's like, he's just an outlier. I can't do a good job predicting his rushing because we don't have models that are set up to predict wide receiver rushing. He is the one that's setting that. So in terms of his contract, I just want it done. But I don't know. I'm a little lower on Debo just because I want to believe he's like a good outlier, but then also part of it's like I expect a little regression, somewhat back to normal wide receiver-ish numbers. But I don't see him being like a top 5 wide receiver again.
What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I like Debo. You know that. I tend, as you know, I am a contrarian when it comes to fantasy football, and it's served me well. Now, I try, you got to pick and choose where you want to be contrarian. To me, I tend to go towards profiles that seem a little murky but have success. So I don't mind going into Debo if I can get a deal. He did carry some teams for me last year, and I think he has the talent. And like we talked about a little bit last week, to me, he says he doesn't want to carry the football, but when push comes to shove and you're on that football field, you got 10 other guys next to you, game's on the line, are you really going to say, no, guys, I said I didn't want to run the ball anymore? Or is he going to be like, yeah, give me the ball. I want the ball in my hands. I'm going to score a touchdown. I want to win the game for us. And so I think when push comes to shove, he's an athlete. He's a competitor, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win those ball games. We just got to get the contract taken care of, like you said. So I think now's the time to buy. I think people are worried about it, and there is an injury history, but that's just the name of the game in fantasy football. At one point in time, Keenan Allen used to be what we deemed as an injury risk. So,
very true. I like that analysis of it. He's a value now and really try and cash in on the fact that nobody else has any clue what's going on here. Trust when I say this, the 49ers want to get this deal done. I've been reading reports that it's almost just as easy as when they get rid of Jimmy, they're going to lock down Debo. Yeah. And that's kind of just I don't know. It's hard to just
eats up a lot of cap.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about Debo, and this will be the last thing.
No, you're good.
There is you have 2 populations of data for Debo stats. You have before week 10 and after week 10. Before week 10, his rushing attempts totaled 6. After week 10, he only had 2 weeks of less than 6 rushing attempts.
Yep.
And they were 5.
Now, is that more of a signal towards maybe stay away from Eli Mitchell, or
that was more of a signal of Garoppolo couldn't handle shit? Because I remember that game. That was the Rams game, week 10, when he turned it on, when they made that happen.
Yeah. that's more of a just I'm gonna throw an entropy grenade into the mix and just say like, hey, these are the numbers. Do with it what you may, and then I kind of take a step back and just see what happens.
Yeah.
But it is that there's a very significant change from the beginning of last year to the end of last year. Like that's he started rushing the ball 5, 8, 6, 8, 6, 5, 7, 8 times a game. That's significant. Whereas beforehand, 0, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. Like he was more the typical like, oh, we'll give it to the wide receiver on a jet sweep trick play type of guy. It sounds like from the first part of the season, and now it's we got to get the ball in this guy's hands and figure stuff out. Which maybe it means something about Elijah Mitchell. Maybe it means something about. I mean, the running back situation in San Fran is always murky, so who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think it totally means something about Elijah Mitchell too. But what I remember about that game is that, Garoppolo couldn't get shit going, and they needed that. They needed some sort of touches. They needed just to get the ball into Deebo Samuel's hands. What I'm looking up right now is how much he rushed. Okay, so he rushed a good amount. I was going to see what he rushed comparison-wise in the Trey Lance game. And he actually had 7 carries in the Trey Lance game. He didn't have much in the yardage department. But also to what Justin was saying, the Elijah Mitchell thing, Elijah Mitchell was terrible on the goal line. And, he only got, I think, maybe a handful of carries on the goal line.
Tyrion Davis-Price.
Yeah.
Just check him out. Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if he makes it at this point, he came in a little bit out of shape. He didn't really do too well in practices and minicamp. And then, but also Trey Lance is going to be a running quarterback. So I don't know. Trust me, being a 49er fan is fucking frustrating as shit. It was even more frustrating.
Hey, you're dealing with the Bills fan since 2000. Like, I became a fan, and then I went almost 20 years without playoffs. So you're fine.
Everybody has good years and bad years. You didn't live through the Tom Sula years where we had like an fucking CFL fucking offensive line head coach come out of nowhere to be our coach. It was almost as bad as having Freddie Kitchens there. But, obviously it is what it is at this point. Deebo's got to get on the field. And, conflicting reports have him coming in overweight. Some people think that he looks just fine.
He's overweight now, is what Deebo?
I said conflicting report. Yeah, conflicting reports were like there was people there that were just pretty much looking at what his shape was and were saying, "Oh, does this mean he's overweight, or does this mean he's fucking just looking thick?" Is what they were pretty much putting it at. So
we just need some reports on if he's dating his mother's best friend or not. That's the type of news I'm here for.
Yes. We all love the MILF hunters. All right. Well, it's been another great show. We want to thank our guest, Seth Keller, for coming on. Please, this is your plug time. Tell everybody who will ever listen to this on Spreaker or maybe tune in on YouTube where we can find you and how we can follow your content.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up on Twitter at FFTheAtHomeDad. I'm on FFFaceoff. I'm on Fantasy Data. I have a podcast that airs every week at The Fantasy Facts. We like to have a good time and jump on and talk about football, fantasy football in general. So yeah, that's where you can find me and where I'm putting stuff out. So I appreciate being able to jump on here. Thank you, Justin and Justin. It was a great time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to have you come back because this was too good of a time. Maybe we'll even put in more segments, just like fucking
movie
comedy
trivia
segments.
There we go.
We don't even have to do fantasy football.
I one time won a $100 bar tab because I won trivia night with the tie-breaking question of when did Batman 2 come out?
The one with Val Kilmer?
Mm.
No, not Val Kilmer. That was still Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 1990.
No.
You have a guess, Justin?
1969 when we went to the moon. Thank you, Even Stevens.
Yeah. Nope. It was not. Oh man, now I forgot. 92, 93. One of those two.
Wow.
But yeah. It was literally just a random guess. That's why I remember it. But I forgot what actual number was. But I chose one and the other person chose the other, and they're like, it was this one. I was like, yeah, I want a bar tab. So I'm all in for movie trivia. I'll probably suck at it, but depending on what genre it is.
If it's Simpsons, I got this.
Oh, if it's
my brother can
Simpsons
vouch for me.
Suck, but
hey, the Simpsons were good up until like 2000.
Yeah, you probably say that about Family Guy up until like 2010.
Yes. Family Guy changed, had a lot of change. The original Family Guy was freaking hilarious.
I used
Cheesy Charlie's.
I use the Family Guy GIF of the mystery box every time somebody's
That's
like
the best.
Like what? Well, I want to make this trade for these rookie picks, and I was like, yeah, because it's the mystery box.
I literally
It could be anything in there.
It
could even be a boat.
So like I traded for a bunch. So like I traded for like an ass load of like rookie picks during the season when everyone said the class sucked. And then like the off season came, they're like, your team's gonna suck. You're not gonna be able to draft these rookies. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. Yeah. And then like I think I had 9 rookie picks, and when the draft came, I had 0 because I like traded all of them for like established players like J.K. Dobbins, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Swift. Rookie picks don't have to be players; they can be veterans if you play it right.
Yeah,
that's usually
calculated
what you
risk.
cash into, anyways.
Yep. I'm not saying that you can't draft players, but if every man has a price.
100%. All right, and our price is up here at 1 hour and 8 minutes. We are going to see you next week. Have a nice one. Stay frosty, Brew Crew.
Hey, don't forget Dynasty Brews on SeatGeek. Keep us in your name.
$20 off, guys.
$20 off.
Use the promo code Dynasty Brews. All right, have a nice one, guys.